Thank you, and good morning. My name is David Griffin, and I'm the Director of the Engineering Research and Development Center and the Director of R&D for the Army Corps of Engineers. Whenever you see that red castle,
unless I was on leave, I gave you a briefing about what we do.
We also have a permafrost tunnel in Alaska. So it's we go way back in time in our research and trying to understand what's happening in the world. So our people obviously are the source of our strength. You know, we're in the knowledge business in the Corps of Engineers and the ERDC itself. We have about 2,000 people in the ERDC out of 35,000 people in the Corps of Engineers. So about half of those are engineers and scientists, about 55%, and they're highly trained. I know because we train them. So we pay for the master's degrees and PhDs. I got my master's and PhD when I started with the Corps of Engineers. So we invest heavily in the technical training of our folks, but we also invest heavily in the leadership training of our folks. And if you look in that bottom left-hand corner of this slide right here, you see that bimodal distribution on age. That's literally our age distribution for engineers and scientists, administrative personnel, and technicians. You see folks in the far right of that distribution, that's the baby boomers. That's my age and older, say 50 and older. It's the second largest group now in ERDC. You slide over about 15 years, 35 and younger, and you see the millennials. And that's the single biggest group now in ERDC, and that's obviously going to be running the organization in the next 5 to 10 years. And so we're spending a lot of money on leadership development training and getting them ready for the future to actually run the place in about 5 to 10 years. We do a lot of work every year. So we do about $1 billion a year in research program. About a third of that is what we call direct program, RDT&E, 6.1 through 6.3 we get through ASALT, and some direct program that comes into our civil works mission that we get from our headquarters USACE. Then about 2/3 of it comes from partners. We work for just about any other federal agency in the federal government actually. All the services in DOD, for instance, the DOD itself, work for Department of Homeland Security, work for Department of State, for instance. So these are about 12 of our federal partners. What's not shown here is the many industry partners that we have and academic partners we have as well to execute what we do. That represents that other 2/3 work that you see there. So what kind of work do we do? Well, these, you can kind of bend everything we do in about 5 different areas. 4 of these are military related. So you see military engineering, for instance. That's where we do the classic military engineering functions. In our case, it's force protection. So we have some of the world's biggest experts, for instance, on blast and weapons effects on structures, either above the ground or below the ground, like bunkers. The force projection, mostly airfields and pavements, so rapid construction of airfields and pavements, for instance, bomb damage repair, that sort of thing. And then maneuver support, that's where we're doing things like finding IEDs, finding tunnels, subterranean, that sort of thing. Geospatial research engineering is all about map making on steroids, really. If you look at the Corps of Engineers mission since the beginning of this nation, we were some of the first folks that mapped the United States of America itself. So we talk about maps on the battlefield, you know, we don't have complete information all the time. So it's all about getting that information. It's about sensing. It's about displaying it in a way that helps inform all the way from battlefield commanders all the way down to the soldiers themselves, give them situational awareness on the fight that's going around them and gives them options on decisions going forward. For environmental quality and installations, that's all about our soldiers. The installations where it's a fixed facility in Fort Hood, Texas, or it's a COB in Afghanistan, a COP or FOB in Afghanistan, we want to sort of take the burden of the energy requirements, the waste, the water requirements that they have, take that away from them and come up with the most efficient ways of doing that so they can focus either on training or fighting or both. For engineer resilient systems, that's sort of our newest business area. That's right there in the middle. That's taking advantage of the high-performance computing assets that we have in ERDC, in ARL, and other locations in the Army and Navy. And basically, if you think about a virtual reality game, except using physics, so it's using actual physics to help us understand the environment and operationally its impacts on tanks, airplanes. For the Navy, we work with ships. So we put them in a very realistic operational environments, physics-based. The whole idea there is we want a virtual proving ground so we can help develop equipment and personnel equipment much faster than we've been able to do in the past. The 5th business area is civil works. So that's that mission we've had since the country really was formed. We actually have the water resources management responsibility for the nation, for our nation's navigable waterways. It's like Mississippi River, Ohio River, Missouri River. So it's all the research that helps us execute that mission, from flood and coastal risk reduction to navigation to helping to protect our environment. So that's kind of a quick and dirty of what we do in the ERDC itself. We like to say that we discover, develop, and deliver new ways to make the world safer and better every day.